All right. It looks like we're there. We're live. We're doing it. It's all working. Technology is amazing, especially when it works. Good morning. This is Tim Patterson, founder and owner of TradeshowGuy Exhibits, which is a company that works with clients who are looking to upgrade their trade show presence or increase their trade show marketing return on investment and make a bigger splash at shows that they exhibit us. You can find us online many places, TradeshowGuyExhibits.com. Get a free copy of my digital book at TradeshowSuccessBook.com. The paperback's on Amazon. You can find the blog, TradeshowGuyBlog.com. Trade Show Exhibit Buyers Kit is for exhibit buyers for those who are ready to purchase, which kind of walks you through the process. TradeshowGuyWebinars.com. You can sign up for these weekly webinars, interviews and training sessions. And as it goes, we happen to have a special guest this morning, Ashley Blalock with the Ashley Avery Agency in New York City. Ashley, did I get all that right by any chance?
You did. You did. I'm very impressed. You got the pronunciation
Very good.
right. Nobody ever gets it right.
Well, you know, I have a radio background, so I'm used to talking, and most of the times the words fall into the right order. So
Good.
So I'd be curious to get, since we don't know each other, we met just the other day. We've talked on the phone once. We talked briefly just to make sure we were connected and able to do that. Give me your 45-second version of where you came from and how you got to where you are, if you can jam it into 45 seconds.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from North Carolina. I lived in Atlanta for about 7 years, and that's where I went to college, and that's actually where I started the agency. And then I moved to New York about 3 years ago and brought the agency with me here. We obviously staff all over the U.S., but we are based out of New York, and this is home.
So what was the impetus for starting the agency? Did you have some background in working with events and things?
I did. So I did a lot of spokes modeling and stuff through college, and it was kind of, what paid my bills and got me through. And then I just kind of rolled that into starting my own agency. It wasn't anything I had originally planned, I think. Originally, I was going to go to law school, and then I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. And then I decided I was going to start my own agency, and it's kind of taken on a mind of its own and just come into the monster that it is. So
what were kind of your goals out of starting the agency? You said, yeah, this looks like something I can do, or there's a big opening in the marketplace. How did you decide that this was the direction to go for you?
To be completely honest and candid, I had just worked with a few agencies, which I think is what most spokesmodels and stuff do. They're never tied to just one agency. They work with many. And I had worked with several that, things had happened or things had come up, and in my head, I was like, man, if I was the one running that agency, I would have handled this differently. Like, I could do this better. And that was kind of how it started. And that's kind of the mentality and what I cultivate with my agency is I've been in all of my girls' shoes. I have worked events. I've been on those trade show floors for 9 hours a day in heels. So I know what it's like. And I take that into account. I take care of my girls, and then I also obviously make sure my clients are happy too. But I've been on both sides, and I don't think I think there are definitely agencies out there that have been founded by, other trade show models, but it's keeping both sides, and is kind of, I think, what is one of the keys to success, at least for us.
So I'm looking at your website, and you have like a number of services: trade show models, promotion models, print and runway models, specialty acts, body paint models. Is there a main focus, or is that pretty well spread out among all of those elements?
Honestly, it is pretty well spread out. There isn't one avenue that I feel like we hone in on more than others. There is a lot of variety, and basically that's just because clients' needs range. There's a wide range of what people want, and not just what a particular client wants in general, but it could vary from event to event. So the same client could want spokes models for one event and then need body paint models or something for another event. It's completely different depending on what the event is.
Do you work overseas, or is it just on stateside?
No, we do work in Europe and the Middle East as well. So we do a lot of stuff like in Saint-Tropez, Dubai, Monaco. We do stuff during the film festival, Formula One, like during the Monaco Grand Prix, Abu Dhabi, stuff like that.
Do you run up against different cultural norms that affect how you guys approach things? I'm just curious.
For sure, when we're traveling to certain places and there's some differences in culture, those are conversations that I have with my team. I like to be overly prepared for things, and I like to probably provide more information to my team than they probably want at times. But we've never ran into any problems in any way, but I do like to overly prepare people so that those cultural differences are anticipated.
So let's talk about trade show stuff, since, you know, this is the Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee. How do you specifically assist trade show exhibitors? What kind of shows do you do? Let's talk about that for a little bit.
So, I mean, I think basically when it comes down to it, in hiring any sort of trade show model into, you know, an event, into a trade show, the end result is always going to be to, you know, gain a conversion, gain traffic into your booth, or increase your, you know, the awareness of your brand or your product you're launching or whatever. So there's obviously several different roles and different, you know, positions that we have that can help with that. So whether it be a brand ambassador or a presenter or an interpreter or a hostess. So there's different roles that we have that can help exhibitors in achieving that result. It just kind of depends on what their result or what their goal is for that show. And that's where I think that the most important piece is, you know, in having a trade show model. A lot of people have that booth babe mentality, or that's the thing that they think about, and it deters them away. But I think that's where you have to hone in on what your result is, like what it is that you want, your end result that you're trying to achieve, and then, you know, work with the talent that you're hiring to make sure you get that, achieving those goals and maintaining those expectations.
I think you actually answered the question I was going to ask, because I'm curious, you know, because a lot of people do have that perception that it can, you know, just the booth babes and the skimpy clothes can reflect negatively on brands in some people's minds. And so that's a fine line I would believe you have to walk.
Right. And I mean, it is. And again, you know, kind of, I'm sure that there's times when there's models on a trade show floor and people do not realize that they're even outsourced. You know, the trade show models don't have to be in skimpy clothes. You know, they can be in a business suit. It all depends on what that particular exhibitor, you know, wants. But I think that the main thing is, you know, where I think exhibitors kind of make mistakes is like when they bring somebody in that's outsourced, and whether it be a model or a regular person off the street that isn't a model, you can't like bring them into CES with some new tech product that you have that has all these specifications, and bring them in 30 minutes prior to the show starting, and then download them with all this information, and then think that they're going to be able to speak, you know, educatedly and properly on that product. Nobody could do that. And that's where I think you have to either dedicate a little bit more time into training and, you know, some product knowledge background for the girls to be able to speak on, or you have to minimize, you know, those keywords or key things that you want somebody to say. So if somebody walks into the booth and a girl is able to speak to, okay, these are the new things that we have going on, and she can say a few keywords, but then knows how to transition that person off, the attendee off, to whoever else is in the booth, whether it be a salesperson or whatever. And that's where I think that the key piece is, and that's kind of how I think that it helps kind of overcome those things. If you just throw a pretty girl in the front of your booth and you don't give her any guidelines or what to say, then of course it's going to kind of come off like she doesn't know what she's talking about, because she doesn't, because you haven't told her.
Right. So what kind of shows do your reps work the most or fit in the best? I'm just curious if there's a specific type of show or type of audience at a show that tends to be better fit than others. There's
not really, I would say, you know, one show that, or one type of show that, you know, we work more in, or one that we, you know, sly away from. But I think, you know, the auto show circuit has obviously, you know, come to the understanding that having, you know, you know, everybody that's on a trade show, I mean, on the auto show floor, for example, they are mainly models, but they go through extensive training. And that's the reason that when you go up and you talk to somebody that's in any of those booths, that they can talk you through the entire car lineup, and they know all about engines and transmissions and all these things. But those companies have invested a little bit more time and money into the training of those individuals. So I think the auto show circuit is definitely one that is, you know, you can find more models in than other ones. But I don't think there's one particular, you know, industry that we fit in better or not. Right. I just think I think the auto show circuit's kind of embraced, you know, brand ambassadors and promotional models a little more than other industries have.
So when you talk about training, I'm just curious, let's say you've got someone hired or a group of people hired to work with a client. How long does it take them to go through that training? What kind of training do they get? And is that something you provide, or is that something the client provides?
Well, no, it would be something that the client provides. And again, it comes down to budgets and constraints. So, with the auto show circuit, for example, the teams that are picked for that, they travel for, around 9 months of the year to those various events. And typically they go through, 5 to 7 days worth of training where they're, at a facility going through 8 hours a day worth of training, and they do online tutorials. But obviously that client has a much larger budget into investing into those individuals. And that's, again, like kind of what I had spoke on a few minutes ago. It's like, then if you have a show where that's not in your budget and you're just bringing in somebody particular, like you have a show in Orlando and we hire somebody local to Orlando, well, then you can't bring that person in and expect them to know everything about your product lineup, because it's just not realistic. So I think it's, you narrow down those training pieces to maybe a few things, instead of like downloading an entire product lineup to somebody that's brand new and then being like, okay, speak on this. So it just depends on the client.
And I would guess that the longer these people work with you, the better off they are, or the more trained they are, and so the more they know what to expect, and so they just become more experienced at it as time goes on.
Right, and I think if you think about it, and in the end, it's like, everybody is hired to do a job that they obviously are good at, and in a field that they're good at. And so with trade show models, it's like these aren't girls that are just have beautiful faces, but they're girls that are articulate and can speak to things, and they know how to bring people into a booth, and that's what they've made a career at, and what they've made a job at. And so those are people that you should hire and put at the front of your booth, because that's what you need. Because technically somebody that is a computer programmer, or somebody that's more, tech oriented, and they sit in a cubicle all day, they're probably not as outgoing and engaging as somebody that works, 8 trade shows a month. Of course that person's going to be a little bit more versed and good at their job, because that's what they make a living out of.
Yeah, and when I first got into the industry, 15 years ago, and I would hear, trade shows and the people that are on the floor, one of the things I first heard was that it's just because you're a good salesman for the company does not make you a good person to be on the show floor. Entirely different situation. It's a chaotic environment, whereas a lot of salespeople are used to sitting down for an hour, hour and a half, depending on the type of sales call they're making, whereas it's happening very quickly. And if you spend an hour and a half on the show floor, you're missing probably 20 people that you could spend time with. And so that does take a specific mindset. It takes a specific training. And I agree that just because someone's good at selling for the company does not make them a good fit for doing the trade show.
Right. And that's where having, somebody there at the front of your booth to kind of help you field those people coming in, and whether it be that, your salespeople are then busy and they're not able to be with that person, well, then one of the girls could then be like, okay, well, let me get your card and I'll have somebody follow up with you. So it's even as simple as that, where then instead of just lining your booth with salespeople that aren't used to working a trade show, you're putting somebody out there that is a trade show professional, that does know how to handle this. They do know how to make conversions. They know how to, get people into your booth. That's what you want. You want somebody there that this is what they have made a career out of.
So you talk about the girls. Do you have guys working in trade shows for you?
Honestly, we don't have a huge request for guys.
Okay.
So we have, some in our database, not really that we've utilized for trade shows. We've done some like extras for some TV shows. We did like the Pitbull New Year's Eve thing a couple of years ago, and we utilized guys for that. But in general, we don't get a ton of trade show male model request.
Okay. Well, how do people find you? I'm just curious how the best way for people to hook up with you or want to, ask more questions of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you can go to our website, AshleyAveryAgency.com. All of the links as far as our social media and stuff are there. Or they're welcome to email us directly, info@AshleyAveryAgency.com.
And I know you're active on Instagram. Is that something you spend a lot of time on? You did a little live thing right before we went on today.
It's something we've tried to kind of get more into. Obviously, I think social media and Instagram specifically is kind of the way that the world is turning. I mean, Trump won his presidency off of Twitter, right? So
well, that was a big part of it. Yes. And of course, Instagram is very visual, and Facebook a lot of visual, and Twitter you can put live video and all this stuff. So that's kind of where a lot of this stuff is going. So I think I emailed you yesterday morning or Saturday morning, and I don't know if you got it, but I was going to ask you, because I always like to end the show here with one good thing, just share a good thing to keep the week going. Did you get my email?
I did.
And do you have one good thing to share?
Down to one, so I kind of have two. So.
Oh, okay.
So they're both books, though, so it's one category. But for these, entrepreneurs out there, anybody in a startup, 0 to 1. I'm not sure if you read it, but it is one of my favorite books, especially for all those entrepreneurs and creative-minded people.
I've heard of that, but tell me the author again.
It's by Peter Thiel. So he's
okay.
one of the people that was a part of PayPal. But
right.
It's really good.
And he's gone political in the last 6 months or so.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
Okay.
And my other one is Girl Boss. For any female out there, even if you aren't running a company, but you have some just power, and it's a good female power book, in my opinion. So it's
Sophie
Ambrosia. So she's who founded Nasty Gal, which is clothing site. It actually has kind of taken a turn. Her website has, and they're closing their doors in some retrospects, but she is a very brilliant-minded person, and the book is a very, rags to riches, empowering type of story, and she's got a lot of good things that I think for females, it kind of points you in the right direction, even if you aren't owning your own business, but just in life in general.
Well, excellent. Ashley, I appreciate your time, and we'll make sure we get those one good things, both of them, up on the website when we post this later today. So you're on the other side of the country. I'm on the west. You're in the east. Hopefully, we get to meet each other sometime and break bread together. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
Thank you, Ashley. I actually appreciate your time again. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, pleasure.
Bye.